Well, hi there, beach friends. Today we're going to be gracing the beaches of Fort Myers Beach looking for itsy bitsy tiny shells. Now, it is a special kind of shell searching. Will we find anything special? Yes, we sure will. We're going to find at least one lentil trap, and then there's going to be a host of other shells that just get so big. And then there'll be other shells that are just tiny versions of their adult shells that we sometimes find. We're going to see itsy bitsy little critter, a critter that's not so itsy bitsy, and it is kind of impossible to not talk about Fort Myers Beach and just acknowledge that there's still rebuilding going on. Right next to these beautiful sunflowers, you might find a house that's only half standing, and it's just the way it's going to be for the foreseeable future. Now, we are going to concentrate on the stuff that is positive, the beautiful beaches and shells and critters. So if you're ready to see what's out there for us today, let's go to the beach. Okay, here we are on Fort Myers Beach. Let's do a quick check-in. It is 80 degrees and the tide is coming in. So the tide conditions, not great at all. And I don't care. And guess what? It also honestly looks like there's not a lot of shells here. So you kind of look at this rack line, you might go, oh man, there's nothing here. But you would be so very wrong. There is so much in the tiny world, and we're going to see so many cool things. Now, this is a coquina. They're supposed to be tiny. They don't get much, well, at least that species doesn't get very big. We see a smattering, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We have a little tiny auger. They will get bigger, but that's a little tiny one, and I'm giving it just an extra check on the inside to make sure there's no critters inside there. So very special little tiny shells is kind of what I had a hankering to find today. Now these little guys, I'm not exactly sure, but there are shells that just don't get very big. The abras, nut clams, and your lunate crassinellas. So there are, and they all look very similar. So there's almost always little tiny white shells, and look at this little shell. So this is a common nutmeg, just happens to be on the tiny side. So that is pretty cool. So shelling like this, you're gonna spend a lot of time very close to the ground. That's a little tiny apple murex. Oh, it's so cute. And then when I'm down here, it's like, okay, what else is here? And I think here, my friends, I think we have ourselves a Tampa turrid. It's not a Sanibel turrid. And it is a little bit older, so, but I'm going with like 99% sure that that is a Tampa turrid. Kinda cool. Now, I'm definitely looking for lentil traps. Anytime we talk about tiny shells, I am looking for lentil traps. Here we have a sharp ribbed drill. Okay, just making sure it's empty, because again, with these tiny ones, you gotta be careful. So that's as big as that shell gets. They're tiny little things. Another little auger. Again, do that whole check on the inside. Make sure we're looking at an empty shell. Have a little jingle. Got a great that little baby's foot print in there. Awesome. So looking and scanning. So I think those little tiny nut clams, see them all those little white shells that are kind of there? Auger, yep, that's a lot bigger than some of those other shells. All right, doing the old checker row, empty. And of course, when I'm doing something like this, I'm kind of hoping there'll be a lentil trap that just kind of pops up, but you never know what else, like this little lace murex. So this kind of stuff I probably wouldn't see unless I literally stopped, got down, and kind of took a look at what is going on the beach here. Another one of those little augers with a little drill hole in it. Another, okay, it's a whole bunch of stuff going on at the opening, the aperture, so I like to double check and then just let you know there was nothing in there. It was just like beach stuff, so there's no critter. That is just a very tiny version of a Florida fighting conch. And this is a tiny, tiny Gulf oyster drill. That's what I'm thinking that is, yeah. What other tinies? All right, these aren't that tiny. That looks to me like a lace murex. It's a little broken, but that's okay. So already, like, again, you can see there's nothing here. Oh, there's tons of great little things here. So I kind of wanted to challenge myself. Summer's coming anyway. The shells slow down. Here we have a Sunray Venus clam, a hinged one. Clean it off. It is gorgeous. So yeah, there is a kind of a seasonality to finding shells, and it gets a little harder in the summer. So we're kind of on the, what would you call that, like the cusp of summer, like it's starting to slow down. There's still things here, like this tinted cantharus that appears to have one of those white slipper snails on the inside. Those white slipper snails like to put their little slippery bodies on all sorts of beach things. So that is a tinted cantharus. Look at this little thing. This is a purplish tagalus. Now I know it doesn't look all that purple because it has a little bit of periostracum on it, and it will make that shell look brown, but underneath there, that is a little purple shell. Awesome. So there's not a lot of people here. You know, it happens. We get some here, some not. Again, it's summer. It's kind of slowing down anyway, and you will see that there is pretty everything on the beach needs to be repaired. Pretty much everything. But some places are starting to open up. I heard the pink shell, which is on the north end. The octopool is going to open soon, so that's kind of cool. We see those trucks carrying the sand. We'll talk about that in a minute. And look at this. Now, I was really kind of bummed because I wanted to make this a project and clean it, and it came out so good I lost it with all of my other lace murex shells. So I did keep that. I did clean it up. It came out great, and I just got lost with all the other ones. Look at little Hermie. So I did manage to spy a little movement, and we have the tiniest little hermit crab in that little auger. But right here we have a Florida fighting conch that is just a itty bitty tiny version of it. Oh, is that my friend in the auger? Let's see. Let's follow it for a second. You still in there, buddy? Is that you? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's just a, yeah. He doesn't mind rolling around, I guess. I guess if you like rides and stuff, who knows? But, yeah. A little tiny hermit crab. And that's why I'm careful. When I pick up the augers, I kind of take another second and I'll look again just to really make sure that there's nobody hiding in there. Anything questionable is going to stay at the beach. All right, and yeah, you know, I did mention the hurricane, so it's not going to be completely unusual for me to find a little bit of debris, so I will pick that up and put it in my bag, along with any other garbage I pick up. And I get asked a lot about sea glass, so this is what I would typically find as sea glass. The beaches here just don't have that pounding surf to really kind of smooth out the glass, so it happens once in a while, but a majority of the glass looks like that. So that's something that I'm going to recycle because I don't want someone to accidentally step on it and get cut. Little tiny moon snail. Little itty bitty shark eye. Awesome. Oh, and a little spotted slipper snail. Kind of like those two. And what do we got? Another sharp ribbed drill. Okay, and yeah, and anytime I kind of see something in there, I'm trying to figure out if it's just like some beach stuff or if there might be a critter. So I like to be careful. Anything with critters in them, that needs to stay at the beach, but everything else is fair game. So that is fair game. A sharp ribbed drill. Oh, a Florida worm snail. Isn't that weird? It's all over the place. A yellow prickly cockle that's not so yellow. Huh, it happens. Sometimes they're super yellow, sometimes I guess not so much. So that is a yellow prickly cockle, a little bit more rounder than the regular prickly cockles. And this pretty shell is a pointed Venus clam, and they only get so big. This happens to be a particularly lovely one. The color on that is really nice. A little pointed Venus clam. And this shell, I'm sorry, I rarely talk about this because it is just so common. It's always out. This is the cross-barred Venus clam. And so I don't even pay attention because it's always here. It's like the sand, they're always here. So if you go to a Southwest Florida beach, you're probably gonna find at least one or two of those cross-barred Venus clam shells. And now I'm gonna be quiet and let you enjoy some beach time. Okay, as I'm making my way up the beach, I am kind of seeing what's going on. So there is a couple of beach restoration projects going on. This is one of them. This is phase one. They're getting that sand from Immokalee and they're trucking it down the beach. So in the background, I'm kind of trying to pay attention to the shells and everything, but there are trucks going on, which is fine. It is a sign of progress and things being rebuilt. Oh, that's a pretty scallop. So that is a calico scallop. Just lovely. So another one of the little shells we might come upon. And a maybe Gulf oyster drill, maybe mauve mouth drill, maybe that is an apple murex. So that I know for sure. And ironically, both of them will drill. So the apple murex will also drill holes just like that little hole on the shell on the right. It is a snail eat snail world out there. And look at this drill that has a drill in it. Yep, that is a little bit ironic. So that's another one of those sharp ribbed drills. All right, haven't found the Wentel trap area yet, but I'm looking. This is practically giant compared to some of the other shells. Lettered olive, delightful. Love me a good pointy, shiny, lettered olive. Still looking for that albino. Haven't found it yet. And this was kind of neat. So this is a moon snail that's just been kind of worn down in such a way. It was just kind of neat. And I felt like if I left it at the beach, y'all would yell at me. So I did hold on to it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I did hold on to that little kind of fun moon snail. Okay, another little olive. Itsy bitsy. Awesome. But you know what else I see? So that, when we talk about the coffee grinds, when you're looking for Wentel traps, that's what it looks like. Sometimes it's up on the beach. Sometimes it's in the water. That is a fly speck cerith that I call an imposter because that is a dark cerith. So there's a couple different kinds of ceriths. The one on the right, that fly speck, oh, it makes me think they're Wentel traps relatively often when I'm looking for them. But they're not. So a couple of ceriths we will also run into as we're looking for these tiny shells. All right, good, another little smattering. There's a little moon snail. It does appear to be broken. I don't care. That is so cute. What else we got? A little bubble. Okay, so the bubbles in the coffee grinds. And oh, a little auger. Is that one of those maybe West Indian false ceriths actually? These tiny ones kind of get hard. So that's a NASA. There's the bubbles. We got ourselves. That appears to be, oh, that's a cantharus. That is a ribbed cantharus. So look at all. So I mean, and a nice variety too. So it's not just like it's one or two tiny shells. There's a bunch of them. Guess what that is? That's a little tiny banded tulip. Oh, it's so cute. So it just, I know they're tiny, but it just makes it kind of fun. A colorful moon snail that also has a drill hole in it. So that's another moon snail. It's not all that colorful, but it is technically a colorful moon snail. Next to our shark eye, that's busted too, and that's all right. Yeah, that's okay. Couple of little moon snails. Okay, some coral, some thin-fingered coral. That's probably absolutely the most common coral we find around here. And then a lace murex. Oh, it's just a darling. Little tiny lace murex. Okay, another coquina. All right, easy to tell what that is because it is a sinistral shell. Its opening is on the left, so I'm positive that that is a lightning whelk. And when you compare that to the pear whelk, which has the opening on the right-hand side, so even when they're tiny, sometimes, definitely not all the time, you will be able to kind of tease apart what kind of shell you're finding. So that is a little pear whelk. And this is a tiny shell, doesn't get much bigger than that. It's a button snail. Awesome little button shell. They're so pretty. Guess what? Wentle trap. So we found at least one, and you know, I guess it totally is true, man, because as soon as I saw the coffee grinds and those bubbles, I start thinking Wentle trap. So we got ourselves at least one. And I've never come here looking for them, or have I? And I didn't realize they were here. I did not know I could come to North Fort Myers Beach and find Wentle traps. I had no idea. That is a turrid. Isn't that cool? So that's also kind of like a drill kind of critter. Neat. Kind of looks like an auger. The bottom is different. But that is a turrid, a boring turrid. Okay, what do we got here? All sorts of opportunities, right? Oh my gosh, do you see it? I see it. It's just sitting right there. Wow. Now I'm noticing it's a little bit different in shape than that first one. The first one kind of was like longer. This one looks a little more squat. I'm not going to try to figure it out. They're Wentle traps. There's so many different kinds. There's an angulate and the Humphreys, and it's just a Wentle trap, and I'm super excited with it. When I find more, I'll get better at kind of figuring out what they are. Sharp rib drill. Yep. Super easy to see what that shell is. It's empty. It's awesome. Sharp ribbed drill. What is this? Holy cow. I had no idea. I mean, that is just so stinking tiny. I have no idea what it is. Nope. Lace murex? Maybe? That's the best guess I got. Look at this. It's a spiny jewel box. Oh. And it's hinged. So that is a hinged, probably the tiniest hinged spiny jewel box I think I've ever seen. Cute. Oh, and a tusk shell. Those I typically don't find because I'm only going to find them when I'm looking for the tinies. So that is a little shell as well. It looks like a little tiny tusk. Sometimes they're open on both ends. Sometimes they're only open on one end. This one, we only have the one end open. Oh, and this, you know, I tried really hard to kind of handle this, and so I'm trying to get that other thing away from it, and so it's this tiny little dwarf olive. Look at that little orange. Oh, how cool. And it's hard to handle it because my fingers are wet and it just sticks. And so that's a little dwarf olive. How neat is that? Oh, that's so cute. All right, got a ribbed cantharus. Little itty, or is that a Gulf oyster drill? It's one or the other. It's little and cute. How about that? And this is actually not a giant Atlantic cockle, but that's technically what its name is. So that is an Atlantic cockle of the giant variety. No way. Another one. So we got ourselves another little Wentle trap. All right, it's broken. I can tell that the aperture is a little bit broken, but I don't care. Isn't it pretty? So Wenzel trap means Dutch spiral staircase. So in Dutch, Wenzel trap means spiral staircase. They're so fun to find. Wouldn't it be nice if we could pretend that that was just a little lion's paw? It's a kitten's paw. We don't get the line. Well, we do sometimes. Very rarely. Oh, hi, coquina. You're really pretty. Now, the coquinas, if they don't open, I'll just gently put my fingernail and try to figure if the critter's alive. And if it's alive, it stays at the beach. Whoa, that would have been cool, right? Fly speck seraph. That's one of those imposters. It doesn't have any of the color on it, but not a Wenzel trap. Okay, we have an Atlantic marginella. Those are kind of cool. I like those. Oh my gosh! Another one! Woo-hoo! So yeah, there's definitely Wenzel traps here. Remember when I got on the beach? We just kind of took a look and there was nothing here. All right, making sure it's empty. Oh, I gotta make sure all those good shells are empty. So we got ourselves another Wenzel trap. That is awesome. Woohoo. Oh, and this, wouldn't that be funny if that was one? It's not. It's, again, one of the imposters, but that would have been awesome if it was. Womp womp. Another one of those dwarf olives. This one's a little drier, so I'm having a little bit easier of a time kind of manhandling it. And they go in my tiny case. So when I have delicates, little tiny itty bitty things, I put them in my little hard container. It doesn't always look like this. I have different containers, but I do like to bring at least one hard container to protect sand dollars and keep my tinies in. Another one of the, look at that. And even in the aperture of that, there's a tiny shell in the aperture of that tiny shell. Oh, man, that's fun. That is cool. Little dwarf olive. What else is here? Is another marginella? Those are neat, aren't they? So they stay tiny and they got those little, they're not teeth, but they kind of look like teeth on the inside, kind of like the nutmegs. But a little marginella. Okay, I think that is one of those West Indian false seraphs. It's a little broken. Whole new world when you go in from the bigger shells into the tiny shells. Okay, yeah, another live coquina. Oh my gosh, friends, that is a little tiny baby's ear. I know, because first of all, I love finding baby's ears, and to find one on a tiny hunting day, I just thought it was so cute. So I'm pretty tickled with that little itty bitty tiny white shell, in addition to the Wenzel traps I've already found. So that was really kind of exciting. It was. Little tiny itty bitty baby's ear. Awesome. Now we've seen a couple of coquinas, not too many. And I was gonna not include this shot in the video, but I wanna show you. So these are your small coquinas, right? And then I find a tiny one. Can barely handle it. So there's the little tiny coquina right next to all the other ones. Just look at that. It's like a third of the size. Oh, so fun. Now, shelling in the water was just about impossible. There really wasn't much there. I did manage to score this tiny little pear whelk. That is adorable. But there wasn't a lot in the water. So I really was, for the most part, kind of sticking to the sand. But when I turned around, look what I saw. Bottlenose dolphin. And it's chasing the fish right there. Yep, so that's what it's chasing. It looks like a snook to me. And so that's always really exciting to, I just turned around and there was a dolphin coming at me. So that was really cool. Always exciting. I have absolutely no desire to get any closer. That dolphin's probably hungry and it will knock me right over. So if you see the critters out there, this is not, this is the wild, and they are wild animals. As a matter of fact, those bottlenose dolphins will get up to 1,400 pounds. They can get up to 13 feet long, and they can live anywhere between 40 and 60 years. So they are pretty cool. It is always really exciting to see them out there doing their thing, hunting for their snack or breakfast. So that's one of our common bottlenose dolphins. It's also probably a male because it's on its own. Really exciting. So I know our island is kind of beat up, but Fort Myers Beach is still producing seashells. And we have out there is Sanibel. Yep, that's the island all the way out there. And there's one of the trucks. So we are rebuilding, but I'm telling you, you can still come and have a great time. I'm having a fantastic time. Look at all the stuff we're finding. And there's nothing here, but yet there is. Here's another tusk shell. Neato. Someone had told me to put that in a Tic Tacs box, which is a good idea. I just put it in my little Chinese food container. Found another little Hermie. Hey, friend. Of the tiny variety. Yeah, no way am I going to know what kind that is, dude. Tiny and cute. That's what that is. Shut up. Another baby's ear. All right, so that one is not quite as pristine as that first one. This one is a little tiny bit broken. It's got some holes in it, but still very cool find. Not like I'm going to leave it here. Super neat to find a tiny baby's ear. That is awesome. So two tiny baby's ears. Awesome. And here's another yellow. Okay, there's a good example of a yellow prickly cockle. Very nice yellow prickly cockle. Awesome. Now, luckily, where I was today, I can totally give you directions on where to hang out and where to park. I'm right now directly in front of the Diamond Head, which appears to be open sometimes from 11 to close. So there's a bar underneath there. So that is opening up. So they have your umbrellas out here, but I'll tell you exactly. So here is the bridge to get over to Fort Myers Beach. The Diamond Head is here. I'm in that area. All of the parking is around this area. So if you wanted to shell like I'm shelling today, you're going to park somewhere here, and then you're just going to walk to the left. You're going to walk south along the beach. Now, the parking goes anywhere between $10 to $20 depending on the day. You know, on the holidays and stuff, it's probably going to go up a little bit. But there's things to do. You could even rent a jet ski. So you can completely park here, totally walk here. Do not be discouraged if you don't see any shells on the beach. Believe me, they're here. Sometimes they'll be on the bigger side like this stuff. And then sometimes they'll be on the tiny side. Oh, look at this. Right, it's a little bit green, but I'm going to keep it banded tulip. All right. So a couple of the larger shells. So you just never know. But by all means, if you come here, you can absolutely park, absolutely have fun, and absolutely find some seashells. So Fort Myers Beach, again, best of luck. Go team. Good luck with all the rebuilding, and we're just going to keep coming and helping how we can. We've removed a little bit of garbage. I had to weigh it twice, but all in all, it comes to 1.4 ounces, which I know isn't a lot, but when it accumulates, I've been able to remove over 32 pounds of garbage from the beach. So that is kind of cool. Now, as far as what other things I removed today, I didn't bother trying to organize them because it's tiny and wet, and they were just all over the place. So we found so many really fun things. Some of the Florida fighting conchs, we did get some augers, the serrets of bubbles, some scallops, the turrid, okay, the lace murex, maybe an apple murex, a prickly cockle, a sunray Venus clam, the little nutmeg, the kitten paw, the crossbarred Venus clam, that lace that was all beat up that I lost in my collection. And then my favorites were the baby's ears, and then the tusk shells and that turd, because they were kind of cool. And then the Wenzel traps, which were awesome. And then the tiny little spiny jewel box and a smattering of the other little shells. So I thought that was really fun. And then, you know, I wasn't exactly sure. Did I find 3 or 4 of the Wenzel traps? And I'd only found the 3. I looked back in my little container and, well, it was actually 4. I think those baby ears just made me lose track. Now, next week, we're going to find some cones. It was crazy town. So this is just a preview of only the cones that we're going to find next week. So Patreons, thank you so much. It means so much to me to know that people are out there and want to support me. So I really, really thank you so very much. And everybody else who watches, I appreciate you as well. You already know we're going to Kais next week. I promise it's going to be awesome. So you have yourself a great week, and I will see you again next Sunday.